Today, I want to delve into a deep topic that blends history, psychology, esoteric knowledge, and power dynamics. This video will explore how control and fear, along with isolation, have been historically used to manipulate energy, create binding agreements, and ultimately harness the dense side of reality for power, fortune, and influence. And I say dense, it's what people traditionally think of as dark, but dark can be shadow, and shadow is not necessarily bad. This, what I'm talking about here, is bad. The mechanics of isolation is used to weaken the will. Energetic manipulation is used to siphon power and turn it into material fortune. You may need to learn how to recognize and break free from these influences because they'll happen whether you know about it or not, whether you care for it or not, whether you believe it or not. So how power and fortune are harnessed through manipulation. Throughout history, certain individuals, groups, and elite power structures have discovered ways to manipulate the energetic and psychological landscapes of reality to control outcomes, dominate others, and accumulate power, fortune, wealth, and so on. These methods, often rooted in fear, deception, and esoteric knowledge, allow a select few to maintain control while keeping others in states of anxiety, confusion, or submission. If you think of this world as a matrix and that there are rules that can bend reality, this would be part of those rules. One of the most effective tools for achieving this domination is isolation, a method that not only weakens a person's resilience, but also creates vulnerabilities that can be exploited energetically. When a person is isolated and thrown into a state of fear, their life force energy becomes easier to direct, drain, and repurpose for external gains. So if you think about it, being around other people makes it harder to become a target. In this analysis, we will examine some historical examples of these methods and how these methods continue to be used today. So let's go into the historical examples of manipulation and energy domination. We have the medieval feudal lords and fear-based control. During the Middle Ages, the feudal system was designed to keep the peasantry in a perpetual state of fear and dependency. Does that sound like anything you've heard about recently? Lords, kings, and ruling elites maintained control over vast populations by threatening punishment for disobedience, public executions, torture, controlling knowledge and education, keeping literacy restricted, and taxing the people heavily to keep them financially weakened. Using religious or supernatural fear convinced people they were cursed if they disobeyed. You need control. You need people to listen to you. What better way to get them in there than to create a series of rules that you know they'll obey, but it won't really allow them to ever get powerful like they want to, right? Because it'll allow you to steal that power from them. So these energetic sources can fuel the ruling class's wealth, right? Because this is what it is about: elitism, the masonry, the Illuminati, right? Between the 15th and 18th centuries, witch hunts in Europe and North America were not just about religious purity. Not at all. They were about control. Those in power used fear and public persecution to eliminate independent thinkers, mostly women, healers, and spiritual practitioners, create an atmosphere of paranoia, forcing people to betray their own communities. After all, if you can get people to turn on other people, then you've accomplished quite a bit. Siphon power from those accused, often wealthy widows, whose property would be seized, right? And of course, churches love to seize property when they ever had a chance as well. So fear is a binding mechanism. It ensures that society will not question the ruling elites or question the church authorities. By keeping people isolated in fear, in their suspicions and anxieties, entire populations were made docile and easy to rule. What about slave societies and psychological control? In the era of colonialism and slavery, enslavers understood That breaking a person's mind was the first step in controlling their body and labor. Methods included separating families. As we know, during slavery in America, many slaves did not get to be together. They were torn away from their people, which caused heartbreak and weeping and deep spiritual and emotional wounds, instilling fear of consequences, whipping, killing, punishing publicly, denying access to cultural and spiritual roots, and removing ancestral knowledge. If you're robbed of your name, your culture, your people, who you once turned to, this isolation allows severed people from reaching into grounding energies and makes them easier to manipulate and exploit. Look at Nazi Germany. Look at the use of isolation as psychological warfare. During World War II, Nazi strategies employed psychological isolation to weaken prisoners and entire populations. Tactics included segregation into ghettos, cutting off community support, right? You never want to let them get ahead. You always want to find ways to ruin it, right? And it happens even today in certain types of cities and neighborhoods and areas. Keeping people mentally trapped in confusion, inducing learned helplessness, make the people feel powerless so they wouldn't resist. For example, if you have a poor segment of society and you always make sure that they never get a chance to get out of their poverty, they will lose hope. So you want to replace the environments of stability and security and replace them with fear, societies which are ripe for energetic and material exploitation. You have cult leaders. You have the isolation of followers. You have cult leaders across history, from Jim Jones and the Jonestown Massacre to Charles Manson, Helter Skelter. These individuals understood the power of isolation. The steps they take include separating individuals from friends and family, cutting off outside perspectives, creating an us versus them mentality, reinforcing dependence on the leader, manipulating emotions through cycles of reward and punishment, harnessing collective energy to manifest the leader's desires. Through fear, control, and restricted realities, cults create an energy siphoning mechanism where the members lose self trust and give their power away to a central figure. Very few learn how to reclaim their power. The role of isolation in weakening the mind and harvesting energy is powerful. Isolation is a tool in manipulating and controlling people as it causes anxiety and self doubt. Without external validation, people second guess their reality. Loss of perspective. When cut off from different viewpoints, individuals become easier to program because you start not to question too much and you believe the narrative you're being given when there are other viewpoints you could explore. Fragmented identity. Without a social reinforcement, people lose a sense of who they are, right? And again, going back to the slavery experience, if I take you out of Africa and I change your name and I cut you off from your religion, cut you off from your culture, you start to question who you are and you take on the identity that's given to you and you just are unable to fight back. Energetic harvesting and creation of jackpots. When a person is in a state of fear, confusion, and anxiety, their grounding energies are compromised. This makes it easier to, well, obviously divide and conquer, but additionally siphon energy through trauma, stress, and manipulation. And even with the slavery experience, DNA has been impacted in descendants that carry the remnants of the trauma of slavery. You can use this as a foundation for greater energetic or material gain. In other words, in esoteric practices, those who understand energy work at a very refined level can tap into isolated individuals and redirect their life force towards achieving fortune, success, or influence. This is why powerful figures often keep people emotionally destabilized. Use fear-based narratives to control perception. Encourage dependency on external authority. And I'm going to go ahead and throw in there, surround yourself with ignorant young people. Because those who are older will know better. But those who are younger are easily fooled and they don't have the wisdom to overcome the type of strategies that are being used to hold them in place so that others might prosper. Breaking free, reclaiming power, and protecting energy. Understanding these methods allows individuals to break free from manipulation and protect their own energy. Some steps would include reconnecting to your community and support systems. They detached you before, you can find a way to get back to it. Isolation is a weapon, connection is a shield. Find like-minded people who reinforce positive energy. Get away from the negative energy people. All they're going to do is make you question, doubt, and lose your mind. Clearing contracts and attachments. You identify verbal, legal, or energetic agreements that bind you. Use affirmations, rituals, or spiritual practices to sever toxic cords, and there will be toxic cords. Strengthening self-trust is important. You want to develop intuition and critical thinking. Keep a journal to track your thoughts and experiences. Protecting your energetic boundaries is also extremely important. You want to meditate, you want to ground yourself, you want to use protective symbols, you want to be aware of fear-based narratives and refuse to participate in them. How many times do people seem to have every problem waiting for a solution, right? Reclaiming personal power. Stop feeding fear-based systems with your energy. Focus on inner stability and clarity rather than external validation, right? Intrinsic rewards. When you realize this, you will realize that you are being manipulated, but there's a way out. And awareness is the ultimate protection. Throughout history, fear, control, and isolation have been used as tools to weaken individuals and harness their energy for external gain. By recognizing these tactics, these vile, dense energy tactics for what they are, you can actively work to reconnect, protect, empower oneself, break free from energetic harvesting, and reclaim full sovereignty over one's life. Take care, my friends. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're new here, this is a safe space. If you're returning, I love and appreciate you so much, and I'm glad that you're back. In the name of the Most High God, I wish you health, wealth, prosperity, and abundance. Blessings and protection. Signing off. Take care. Have a great day.